nation's history. Our service, our nation, and our world face new challenges and new opportunities. Guide her as she guides us. Neither Admiral Schultz nor Admiral Fagan arrived at this moment on their own. We thank you for the families that raised them, the education and experiences that formed them, the mentors that taught them, and especially the loved ones that stood and continue to stand beside them. We pray today for our leaders, President Biden, Vice President Harris, Secretary Mayorkas. We thank you that they are people of integrity and character striving to do what is right. We pray for all elected and appointed officials. May they all seek to serve selflessly and with honor. A few moments ago, we heard a song that reminded us of the promise of America the Beautiful. May we work together to make it so. For all those standing the watch around the world in the Coast Guard today, our active duty, reserve, civilian, and auxiliary team, and especially the families that support them, we ask for your care and your protection. This we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain Walcott. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Military members may now uncover. It is now my distinct honor to introduce the presiding official for today's change of command ceremony, the Honorable Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security and the Service Secretary for the United States Coast Guard.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Platt. President Biden speaks so movingly of our United States as a country of possibilities, one where our individual and collective talents, drive, and spirit can achieve anything. All across our great nation and around the world, members of the United States Coast Guard prove that to be true every single day. Through selfless service to mission and with a spirit of innovation, Coasties everywhere are achieving extraordinary things, from daring rescues to protecting sovereign waters and so much more. Our country of possibilities is defined by our people. The members of the Coast Guard who have served and are serving bring honor to our nation every day. Those who are embarking upon our service hold boundless promise for the future. May 18th illustrated that so powerfully as cadets at the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut graduated and became new officers. As each approached the stage to receive their diploma and commission, I witnessed as each radiated with the courage of military service, the excitement of new postings, and the healthy nervousness of new beginnings. As each one of them walked across the stage, a walk of 40 or so feet that represented 4 years of hard work and tenacity, they were greeted one by one with words of encouragement, strength, and pride. Each of them was greeted personally by their Commandant, Admiral Karl Schultz. Great leadership also defines the United States as a country of possibilities, and that is what we are here to celebrate today. The great leadership of Admiral Schultz, the 26th Commandant of the United States Coast Guard. Admiral Schultz has served our country with distinction for 39 years. Through numerous flag and operational assignments spanning coast to coast, he has devoted his career to the Coast Guard and made life better for its members and their families. As Commandant, Admiral Schultz has led the Coast Guard through a unique and unprecedented period. In early 2019, the federal government was shut down and active duty Coast Guard members were not paid. Through the shutdown, the Coast Guard continued to not only operate and fulfill its mission, but it shined. Members speak of that difficult time with admiration for and adoration of their Commandant, who stood by them and provided them with the support they needed. Throughout the global pandemic, the Coast Guard did not have the option of working from home. At the outset of the pandemic, Admiral Schultz led coasties as they brought cruise ship passengers and crew to safety. From that time forward, he has helped keep the marine transportation system going, which facilitates more than a quarter of our country's gross domestic product and maintains 31 million jobs in American ports, harbors, and waterways. Through the most intense and active Atlantic hurricane season on record, historic levels of migration, the urgent need to distribute COVID-19 vaccines, and the Afghan resettlement effort of Operation Allies Welcome, the Coast Guard has been there, always ready and always delivering. It has been so because of the Coast Guard's enormous talent and agility, its proud tradition of service whenever and wherever needed, and the incredible leadership of Admiral Schultz. While meeting these immense challenges, the Commandant has spearheaded a more than 20% increase in the Coast Guard's budget and ignited the largest shipbuilding effort since World War II. Most of all, Admiral Schultz has focused steadfastly on the well-being of every member of the Coast Guard and the advancement of its core values as an American institution. Championing diversity, equity, and inclusion, overhauling the service's civil rights policy, expanding mentorship and support programs. He has been there for the coasties and the country they proudly serve. He has led the Coast Guard to new heights during an extraordinary tenure. The service of the new officers commissioned on May 18th and the service of thousands of others whom he has recruited, mentored, inspired, and led will be a tribute to his contributions and will build on his legacy. So too will the leadership of the Coast Guard's 27th Commandant, Admiral Linda Fagan. Admiral Fagan was a member of the 6th class of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy that accepted women. She began her career as the only woman of the crew of the venerable icebreaker Polar Star from 1985 to 1987. She has served on all 7 continents and is the longest-serving active duty officer in the marine safety field, which earned her the Coast Guard's first ever Golden Ancient Trident. She will be the first woman to serve as Commandant and the first female service chief of the U.S. Armed Forces. Admiral Fagan is a trailblazer. For more than 230 years, women have had an essential role in the United States Coast Guard and its predecessor services. Coast Guard women have helped shape the service and pioneered the role of women in the federal government and the nation. Now the Coast Guard has its first woman commandant. Today is an historic day for the United States Coast Guard, an historic day for the United States. This is a day when the change, the charge, and privilege of leadership passes from one adored and revered admiral to another. It is a great day for the Schultz and Fagan families, too. We do not serve alone. Our loved ones serve with us. Don Schultz and John Fagan, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. The future is bright and a reflection of the leaders here. Ensign Eric Schultz heard the personal words of encouragement, strength, and pride from his father as he walked across the stage of the Coast Guard Academy last year. Lieutenant Eileen Fagan follows in her mother's footsteps. Thank you, Admiral Schultz, for your extraordinary career of service to the Coast Guard and our nation. Admiral Fagan, we turn to you with great promise. Semper Paratus. America is indeed a country of possibilities. No one champions this fact more than our Commander-in-Chief, a leader who has dedicated his life to extending the reach of possibility to every American. On this historic occasion, I am honored to welcome the 46th President of the United States, our President, Joe Biden.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for giving my speech. And I'm going to sit down. Probably wish I would. It's kind of a little warm in here. Today, we witness a tradition long standing in the United States Coast Guard. Change of command as the new Admiral assumes leadership of our nation's oldest continuous seagoing service. And it's both a connection to our earliest days as a nation and a new milestone in our history. We use those phrases lately, but this is a big deal. Admiral Linda Fagan, Coast Guard Academy, class of 1985. Class of 85, stand up if you're out there. Oh! As they say in Southern Delaware, you all knew it then, didn't you? Well, you've crewed the Polar Star and Heavy Icebreaker, you've captained the Port of New York, you've served on all 7 continents, and you've commanded the Coast Guard operations in the Pacific. You've served as Vice Commandant of the Coast Guard. Throughout her decades of service, she's demonstrated an exceptional skill, integrity, and commitment to our country. She upholds the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. This moment of acceleration of global challenges and hybrid threats don't stop at any border. There's no one more qualified to lead the proud women and men of the Coast Guard, and she will also be the first woman to serve as Commandant of the Coast Guard, the first woman to lead any branch of the United States Armed Forces, and it's about time. Secretary of Defense, when he sent me the name, I said, what in the hell took you so long? Really, congratulations. Look, with her trailblazing career, Admiral Fagan shows that young people entering the service, that we mean when we say there are no doors closed to women. And I might add, that includes her daughter, Coast Guard Lieutenant Eileen Fagan. Now, I've thoroughly embarrassed you, haven't I? You look like my son used to look. He said, Vice President Biden and his son, Major Biden. And you go, oh, Dad. Thank you. Thank you. It's not meant to embarrass, it's meant to compliment. Every little kid growing up today who dreams of serving their country will know that this is what an admiral and a service chief of the United States Armed Forces looks like. I mean it sincerely, it matters. I concluded when I ran, by the way, that I make sure that my government, my administration, and the service looked like America. I want to thank you, Admiral Fagan, for taking the helm during this critical moment, and for all that you've done throughout your career to open the doors of opportunities a little bit wider to allowing those following behind you a way through. I want to acknowledge your family. We're here to support you, and you've supported you every day, just as they have throughout your career. John, where are you? I'm going to embarrass you. John, stand up, will you? Come on. John, we don't know one another, but we have something in common. We both married way above our station. And Maura and Eileen and your parents, John and Luann, where's Mom and Dad? I watched Dad watching that young woman in the honor guard come around with that rifle. You moved quickly, Dad. all kidding aside, thank you for the values you instill. It matters. It matters a great deal to both of you. And you know, from the time that she was a swab, it just is amazing. I want to thank you for sharing Admiral Fagan with us, and Admiral Schultz, thank you for leading our Coast Guard as Commandant over the last 4 years. Stellar capstone in nearly 4 decades of outstanding service to the nation. I got the advantage of doing, for I think the 3rd time in my career, the Academy commencement, and you're second to last one. And he also has a young man, good-looking boy, man, who was also commissioned at the time. So I don't think we've seen the last of this. To Dawn and all the children, Lindsay, Kelsey, is it Annalise? I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And is that right? And Zachary, and Ensign Schultz. Where's Ensign Schultz? Is he here? He's underway. For those of you who are not in the military, underway doesn't mean they're late on the way here. Say underway in my family, think, where the hell are they? But look, it's not just those who wear the uniform who serve. And I've said this many times, it's the whole family. As an English poet said, they also serve who only stand and wait. They also serve who only stand and wait. Many times, your son, your daughter was on patrol somewhere, and you wondered, or your wife, or your mom. You stand there and you wait. For the year my son was in Iraq, for the year before that, when he was 6 months, he was in the Balkans. My wife would stand there at the coffee, at the sink, drinking that coffee, just saying a prayer every day. So to all of you, we owe you. We owe you big. Thank you for all that you've done for the country over the years. We've asked a lot of you, and you've risen to every challenge. I also want to thank the women and men of the Coast Guard who are standing watch today and every day here at home and around the globe, including my military aide who is here today, Lieutenant Commander Jane McCarran. Where is she? I'm going to embarrass the devil out of her, but I asked, she's hiding somewhere. I'll admit her at the Academy and ask her to come with us. Our nation is grateful to all of you for your years of service and your continued service. And as we look to the years and the decades ahead, the Coast Guard is only going to play an increasingly prominent role in our homeland and our national security. The challenges we face continue to evolve, and the choices we make today are literally going to shape the direction of the world throughout the 21st century. What we do the next 10 years is going to lay it down. We'll be calling on the Coast Guard more and more frequently, as you know, to underwrite the international maritime security, to keep the sea lanes open and secure, to uphold a rules-based international order, to protect the waters, as was mentioned, through which nearly 1/4 of the United States GDP is transported, to manage the impact of climate change, becoming more extreme weather and growing migration flows. In addition, you see what's happening in the Arctic. Arctic's going to change drastically and become a place that is going to also potentially generate potential conflict in terms of dominating the Arctic as it melts. The Coast Guard is a central element to the administration's new Indo-Pacific strategy, building partnerships with nations throughout the region to take on illegally and unreported and unregulated fishing, reported the shared threats that conduct and coordinate human environmental missions. I met yesterday with the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Part of what we're initiating now is there's another country that's literally eating up all of the fishing grounds, literally overfishing everything. We've decided that we have to be engaged, and we have to be engaged with our Coast Guard and our military, our Navy. And with the climate change accelerating, we're seeing more frequent and more intense storms carry devastating impacts across our nation and throughout the hemisphere. Admiral Schultz, you oversaw the Coast Guard's response to the most active hurricane season on record in 2020. 30 named storms, 12 of which impacted the Gulf and Atlantic coast, and the Coast Guard was there for every single one of them. And with today marking the official first day of the 2020 hurricane season, we're anticipating the 7th straight year above average hurricane activity in the Atlantic. We turn to the Coast Guard to help facilitate our national response to COVID-19, from helping with vaccinations to protecting ports and maritime supply chains. And we rely on the Coast Guard to interdict illicit drug shipments at sea before they can enter the United States and respond to the greatly increased migration flows from Americas. Folks, and Admiral Fagan, we know there's more work to be done to ensure the Coast Guard and all the branches of our armed forces reflect the full strength and diversity, including at the highest levels of our leadership. When Admiral Fagan commissioned in 1985, only 5 years after the first woman graduated from the Academy, she was one of just 16 commissioned female ensigns, only 8% of her graduating class. She's the only woman aboard Polar Star for the first set of orders. Currently, Corps cadets at the Academy, more than 1,000 cadets strong, 40% are women. 40% are women. Admiral Fagan is part of a generation of pioneering women in the force, and this ceremony is historic and a historic first in that effort. Promotion earned through a career of outstanding leadership and accomplishment. Now we need to keep working to make sure Admiral Fagan may be the first, but not the only person. We need to see more women at the highest levels of command in the Coast Guard and across every service in the armed forces. We need to ensure women have an opportunity to succeed and thrive throughout their professional careers, and that means providing support and resources so women can compete fairly and fully for promotions and make sure women are not penalized in their career for having children. It also means creating an environment where every member of the armed forces feels safe in the ranks, including from sexual assault and harassment, and where their contributions are respected. So thank you again, Admiral Schultz, for your dedicated service to our nation and your steady leadership through the years at the Coast Guard. It's been called into new missions and asked to serve in extremely difficult circumstances. And thank you, Admiral Fagan, for accepting this next mission and this great responsibility to lead the women and men of the Coast Guard, the finest Coast Guard in the world. The Coast Guard is Semper Paratus, always ready, always ready. I know that you're ready for all that's ahead of you, and I look forward to watching you execute your job. Again, thank you. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Admiral Schultz. Admiral Schultz, would you please? Testing? Okay, sorry about that. Admiral Schultz, would you please join President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas on stage so they can formally recognize your accomplishments? Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Military members, attention to award. Citation to accompany the award of the Homeland Security Distinguished Service Medal to Admiral Karl L. Schultz, United States Coast Guard. Admiral Schultz is cited for extraordinary meritorious service to the government of the United States in a position of great responsibility as a 26th Commandant of the Coast Guard from June 2018 to June 2022. Operating amidst competing national priorities, Admiral Schultz expertly led the Coast Guard's monumental recapitalization of its legacy fleet of cutters and aircraft while aligning the service with Department of Homeland Security and Department of Defense strategic priorities. Through bold vision and resolve, he set clear direction for the service, championed efforts to foster a more diverse and inclusive workforce, and established an ambitious strategic plan ensuring the Coast Guard's 81,000 active duty, reserve, civilian, and auxiliary members were semper paratus, always ready to protect the homeland, enhance economic prosperity, and advance America's national interests. Exercising keen decisional agility and foresight, Admiral Schultz masterfully led the workforce through some of the most challenging times in our nation's history, including the COVID-19 global pandemic, a 35-day partial government shutdown, the busiest hurricane seasons on record, increased Coast Guard support to Southwest border operations and Operations Allies Welcome, response to mass migration events in Haiti, evolving cybersecurity threats, escalating tensions with Iran, and a national defense strategy focused on great power competition with China and Russia. He championed organizational changes to enhance oversight and improve efficiency while spearheading the on-schedule and on-budget delivery of national security and fast response cutter programs of record, the advancement of offshore patrol cutter and waterways commerce cutter programs, and awarded the multi-mission Polar Security Cutter contract. Admiral Schultz's unmatched ingenuity and visionary leadership resulted in the implementation of the Coast Guard's groundbreaking Arctic, cyber, and maritime commerce strategies addressing 21st century marine transportation security challenges and actions vital to the sustainment of more than 30 million American jobs and $5.4 trillion in annual U.S. maritime economic activity. His tireless efforts have positioned the service with a tremendous, capable blend of assets and enabling support resources necessary to protect and advance the United States' interests around the globe for decades to come. His extraordinary achievements culminate a truly distinguished 39-year career of selfless service to the men and women of the United States Coast Guard and the United States of America. Admiral Schultz's leadership, dedication, and devotion to duty are most heartily commended and are in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard and the Department of Homeland Security. Given this first day of June 2022, signed, the Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security. Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. President and Secretary Mayorkas. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present the 26th Commandant of the United States Coast Guard, Admiral Karl L. Schultz, who will now provide some remarks.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. President, Secretary Mayorkas, what an honor to have you both here today. Mr. President, I would be remiss because the great class of '85 that Admiral Fagan hails from is here and trained by the great class of '83. I think there's a few of them in the room too. '83? I would be watching for that crowd on the news tomorrow, sir. They may be drinking some beer at my house tonight. And I had a moment, Mr. President, where you're talking about Lieutenant Fagan in the front row and how uncomfortable it was and with your son. My son's underway, but he's not even on his own ship. He wanted to get underway on some other. That's a joke. He is underway. And he's here with us in spirit. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your truly meaningful words regarding the breadth of duties, the scope of impact that our Coast Guardsmen have, both here in the homeland and increasingly so across the globe. Secretary Mayorkas, I want to thank you, sir, for being here for today's Change of Command ceremony, for your leadership. You lead a department of more than 250,000 people with complex responsibilities spread across 22 agencies, sir, and it affects the safety and the security of our American nation each and every day. And you have empowered me and given me a lot of running room to lead this team. And sir, and I want to appreciate the Department Award that recognizes the men and women of the United States Coast Guard, some here in this room and those standing to watch across the globe. Today marks a change in the top leadership of the service. I think it would be appropriate that I say just a few minutes to reflect on the world's best Coast Guard. A truly unique and versatile organization with broad statutory authorities and remarkably agile people. An organization with a 232-year storied history. We're a learning organization striving to be more diverse and representative of the great nation we serve. And I would say we're in an organization that recognizes to remain the world's best, we must also be the world's most inclusive Coast Guard. In taking the baton 4 years ago from my predecessor, and recognizing no service chief's tenure is routine, and I think the fellow service chiefs here will all second those words, little did I know that this was going to be anything but a conventional 4-year race with that baton in hand. But I'd say instead, in many regards, and you heard some allusion to it, it's sort of like an eco-challenge. Maybe one of those toughest races pitting international athletes against the clock, running hundreds of miles in remote areas. And we asked our Coast Guardsmen, your Coast Guardsmen, to work without pay during that fiscal 2019 lapse in pay for the federal government. We asked them to navigate a tumultuous 2020 as a wave of civil unrest unfolded across much of the country, as we struggled to define the type of America we aspired to be. And then in March of 2020, that same spring, we ushered in a once-in-a-century global pandemic that greatly changed and still impacts the way we live and work. Against this backdrop, your Coast Guard exercised decisional agility and demonstrated a toughness and a resiliency, as well as a renewed bias for action and a sense of purpose towards mission accomplishment. I am forever grateful for their commitment, and to you, President Biden, for your unwavering support of the men and women of the United States Coast Guard. Team, we couldn't be any prouder of you today. So I will now read my orders. From Commander, Personnel Services Command, to Admiral Karl Schultz. Upon relief of command, attach a report to retirement for the future. Thank you.
No mic.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's that? Please remain standing. That's all I really had to say. Mr. President, please join Admiral Schultz at center stage. Admiral Fagan will now read her orders.
From Personnel Service Center to Admiral Linda Fagan. Upon relief as Vice Commandant, proceed and report as Commandant. Mr. President, I request permission to read Admiral Schultz's comment. Sir, I offer you my relief.
Thank you, Mr. President and Admiral Schultz. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is now my privilege to introduce the 27th Commandant of the United States Coast Guard, Admiral Linda Fagan.
Thank you, Mr. President, Secretary Mayorkas. What a pleasure to have both of you here with us on stage to celebrate this change of command. To the members of the great class of 1985, thanks for representing, and great to see all you out there. And I know we have many folks that had hoped to join us but are joining virtually, and so thanks to all that are out there in the virtual land. Secretary Mayorkas, thank you. Thank you for your support and for the President's confidence in nominating me to serve as the 27th Commandant. I'm honored to have been confirmed by the Senate, and I would like to thank the committee for the leadership and their staff that help ensure we're having an orderly transfer of command today. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I look forward to serving as a part of your leadership team as we confront the challenges ahead. And I'm committed to executing your priorities and our department's missions through a unity of effort approach with all of our partner agencies. Admiral Schultz, thank you. Thank you for your leadership, your dedication as you guided the service through historic challenges, and we are truly a more ready, responsive, and relevant Coast Guard today as a result of your leadership. It has been a true honor to serve with you during your tenure, first as the Pacific Area Commander and most recently as Vice Commandant. Thank you for your 39 years of tireless service. I wish you and Dawn and the Schultz family all the very best as you transition into retirement, and look forward to celebrating you some more here at the end of the ceremony. To my family, John, Moira, Eileen, thank you. I know it's been a little bit of a crazy ride, but I appreciate all that you've done to enable this. And a special thanks to Eileen. Thank you, Mr. President, for calling her out. She's my personal aide. I lean on her pretty heavily. She is changing her name to Fagan after this. It won't be Fagan anymore. So, and I'd also like to thank the family that I've acquired along the way. And, you know, I've had a couple of assignments where people have come into my life as friends, and by the time the assignment was over, they've become family. Many of them have traveled from California. Some are living here in DC, but thank you to the extended family for being here. My parents who've traveled from Seattle, my sister and nephew who helped make that happen, thank you. And so just a little bit, I talked a little yesterday, a little more. I want to thank my parents for their courage. Their courage to allow me to begin this Coast Guard journey 41 years ago when I arrived at the Coast Guard Academy. I was 16. I announced my intent to attend the Academy, full of righteousness as only a 16-year-old can be. And like all good parents, they said, oh, she'll outgrow it. And I did not. Although I did think I could go to the Academy and drive small boats. That's not true either. But I thank them for their courage of letting me begin this journey. If it weren't for that, I'm not sure that I we'd be here. There are hundreds of you out there who I've served with over the years, far too many to call out, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support, your commitment to the organization, commitment to me, and helping me grow and learn. There is one person, though, and we've talked about the pioneers. I do want to call out one individual specifically. He's not with us. He's passed. I only met this individual once, but his courage had an outsized impact on me as a person. This is our 15th Commandant, Admiral Owen Seiler. He was an aviator. I met him at a building dedication in Savannah. Owen Seiler was the one who had the courage to integrate the service academies and make that decision to integrate the Coast Guard Academy back in the summer of 1975. In 76, the first women arrived. They graduate in 80, and I arrived a year later to the Coast Guard Academy. If it was not for Owen Seiler's courage, I do not believe I would be standing here today, and so I want to thank him. I'm wearing his shoulder boards that he wore as the 15th Commandant just to acknowledge the long blue line. To the Coast Guard workforce, today is about you. I'm honored and humbled to serve as your Commandant. I've always been inspired by the Coast Guard professionals serving in all our missions around the world. Thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and your service. It's my greatest privilege to work on your behalf. I'm immensely grateful to the many pioneers who've paved the way. Pioneers like Admiral Seiler, Dorothy Stratton, Ida Lewis, Dorothy McShane, Elizabeth Friedman. I'm proud to be a part of this long history of service, dedication, and groundbreaking, and I'm committed to carrying these principles forward. For nearly 232 years, the Coast Guard has provided safety and security for the American people. Today, our Coast Guard workforce oversees waterways and vessels that power our nation's economy, responds to mariners in distress, enforces our laws, and watches over marine natural resources. Americans are proud of their Coast Guard and every person who serves in this organization, whether in uniform or as a civilian, active duty, reserve, or auxiliary. We should all be proud of our accomplishments every day to keep our nation safe and prosperous. It's never been a more exciting time to be part of the Coast Guard. The President talked about the pace of change in the changing world, advances in new technology, changes in the economy, an evolving geopolitical landscape means demand for Coast Guard missions have never been higher. Those same forces are also influencing the communities where our people live and work. The pace of change creates challenge, but it also creates opportunity. Today, we will advance the Coast Guard America needs for tomorrow. Tomorrow looks different, and so will we. We will be more adaptive and connected, generate sustained readiness, resilience, and capability in new ways to enhance our nation's maritime safety, security, and prosperity. To the workforce, each member of the Coast Guard workforce, you are the heartbeat of the service. Without you, we cannot execute missions, aircraft aren't maintained, Cutters don't sail, small boats don't patrol. My highest priority as Commandant will be to transform our talent management system. We will deliver each of you tools, policy, training, and support to succeed across all missions. We will empower you with reliable, cutting-edge assets, cutters, boats, aircraft, as well as data systems and shore facilities that you need to remain the world's best Coast Guard. We will unite people, assets, system, and data in new ways to be a more agile force. As we stay grounded in our principles of operation, we will focus on mission excellence so you can continue to be brilliant at our core work. We will find the best ways to deploy our assets to meet global demand for the Coast Guard from the Arctic to Antarctica, throughout the world's oceans, the entire coastline and river systems of the United States. And we will be present where we provide the American people the greatest benefit. We will make the transformation we need to keep pace with the changing world, while being guided by our core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty, with pride in our long history and appreciation for the sense of belonging that we share in this service. This transformation is an investment in you. Without you, steel does not move, lives are not saved, and our national prosperity and security are at risk. Your work, the Coast Guard's work, is critical to our national security and prosperity. You have answered the call to serve. We will be the Coast Guard where you can perform your best and bring your best to the potential that is this nation. I look forward to the journey ahead. I'm eternally optimistic about the future of the service. You are the world's best Coast Guard. I am honored and humbled to serve alongside you as we look to the future. Thank you. Semper Paratus. Rear Admiral Platt, all standing orders remain in effect.
Thank you, Admiral Fagan. Thank you, Admiral Fagan. Mr. President, on behalf of Secretary Mayorkas, Admiral Fagan, and Admiral Schultz, we thank you for helping us to honor this historic occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing, and military members, please don your covers. Now, President of the United States of America, Joseph R. Biden, departing. Hand salute. Ready, two. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now transition to Admiral Schultz's retirement ceremony. Military members may now uncover. Today's ceremony marks the retirement of Admiral Schultz after 39 years of faithful and distinguished service in the United States Coast Guard. It is now my pleasure to introduce the presiding official for today's ceremony, Admiral Stephen D. Poulin, the 33rd Vice Commandant in the United States Coast Guard.
Now, Mr. Secretary, our 27th Commandant, the Coast Guard, distinguished guests, everybody, family, friends, colleagues, thanks for being here as we transition to Admiral Schultz's retirement. After really 43 years of service, 39 of those years being commissioned service. Admiral Schultz, I think if I did the math right, over the course of your career, you've had 7 commands, 3 of those afloat, and 14 physical moves, and I'm going to dive down into each one of those in a little bit. However, Admiral Schultz, at the outset of every retirement ceremony, I think it's appropriate to give everybody a little bit of context on how long your career has been. So I went back and I checked things that were going on in 1979 when you were at the Academy. Obviously, we're in the middle of the Cold War, and it would not be another decade until the Berlin Wall came down. But what people may not remember is there were no laptops or desktops, no personal computers,
And when you took computer class at the academy, you had to use IBM punch cards. But there were some real technology milestones in 1979. That was the year that Sony introduced the Walkman. More significantly, it was the year that McDonald's introduced the Happy Meal. My point, sir, is that you've been doing this a long time, and I'm glad that we can now give you back to your family. And on these occasions of retirement, there is no shortage of folks who will offer humorous stories, and I have many, but the statute of limitations has not run on some of those, so I'll protect those. And after all, this has to be a solemn ceremony. We're retiring a service chief. We're here in front of the secretary, and we have many distinguished guests in the audience. So this has to be a very dignified ceremony. So I'm not going to tell you about the time that Lieutenant J.G. Schultz, who has a passion for classic muscle cars, broke down in his 1969 Chevelle SS cruising down a packed Duval Street in Key West. He revved the engine so hard that it caught fire, was engulfed in flames, and the fire department had to roll in and douse the flames. I'm not going to tell you that because it would be inappropriate for me to do so. I would just offer parenthetically that that Chevelle has made every PCS move with Admiral Schultz, so much so that one of our colleagues said, you know, maybe we need to sign a dependent certificate of appreciation for that Chevelle. We really think that that is Admiral Schultz's first child, to be honest. Now, it would also be inappropriate for me to share with you a story about him failing to put the boat plug in a bow rider ski boat on a family vacation and almost sinking the boat. I mean, after all, he's a cutterman. He commanded Sector Miami, had many small boats, and for goodness sakes, he's the Commandant of the Coast Guard and is in charge of all small boats. So that would be a story that would be inappropriate to share publicly. It would also not be appropriate for me to share with you that he actually had one of his crew climb aloft on his patrol boat and saw off the top of the mast of a patrol boat so he could get under a lift bridge that was stuck in the down position. That is a true story. It was welded back on. The reality is that most of the stories and reflections I received were from people who talked about the generosity of the Schultz family, how Don and Admiral Schultz were there in time of need to offer a kind word or a helping hand. Classmates even reflected on the hospitality of his mom and dad in Connecticut, as he would invite them home to East Hartford to provide a sanctuary from the academy. Admiral Schultz, many of us have known you for these past 4 decades. You and I met my swab year at the academy when we got to play baseball together. And over the course of those 4 decades, many of our organizational relationships have changed. We who are here called you teammate. We've called you shipmate, we've called you colleague, we've called you boss, and we called you commandant. And though there have been many organizational changes, we have always called you an inspiration. And even though these organizational relationships have changed, Karl Schultz has not changed. The Karl Schultz that we know now is the Karl Schultz that we met those 4 decades ago. An authentic and genuine leader who is focused on people. Someone offered the perfect description of Admiral Schultz, and I think it's attributed to Vice Admiral Dean Lee. Vice Admiral Schultz was coming in to relieve Dean as the Atlantic Area Commander. And there's usually some angst among the staff about who the incoming commander is and what the incoming commander is about. And so one of the staff members asked Dean, who is this Admiral Schultz, this Vice Admiral Schultz? And Dean replied, picture a Roman general, a big man with powerful arms, in a Coast Guard uniform, and he's the nicest guy you'd ever meet. I would add that Admiral Schultz is the most... everybody was drawn to Karl Schultz. Oftentimes it was business, but many times it was to talk about life or sports, or how Admiral Schultz got a little too aggressive down in the paint playing a big game of basketball. And I'm sorry, it goes back to those powerful arms, Admiral Schultz. That's why you just want to. Is with Florida, especially South Florida. So as I walk through some of the subsequent assignments, you're going to see a clear trend. And so it was no surprise that after Key West, his next assignment was at the 7th Coast Guard District in Miami, where he was a SAR coordinator and a law enforcement duty officer. And that's a district that has one of the most active caseloads in the country, and he was able to bring his experience there to save lives and prevent illegal drugs from coming into our communities. And Karl and Dawn married in Homestead, Florida in 1989 while he was there in the 7th District. I have pictures on my iPhone if you'd like to see it after. They stayed in Miami from 1999 to 1991, where Admiral Schultz commanded the cutter Farallon, continuing to do search and rescue, law enforcement, and ensuring the integrity of our maritime borders. And by my calculation, Farallon, sir, is where you become a permanent cutterman. It was also his first of 3 afloat commands. And after Farallon, he got a chance to have a bit of a break and do some deep thinking at the University of Connecticut, where he got a master's in public administration, and his reward was being assigned to our personnel command to do seminal work to reform personnel customer service, improve the illicit assignment process, and championing expanded diversity. He also served as an assignment officer or a detailer. Now, being an assignment officer is really interesting because you find out that you have friends that you never knew you had. You have to manage an officer's desires with the needs of the service, and it's a hard job because it has consequential effect for those officers. I can tell you from many officers whom I've talked with that Karl Schultz always had their best interest at heart. He was a strong advocate for them to get assignments that were enriching, career-enhancing, and met family needs. I know that he worked with other assignment officers to make sure that people had full opportunity. He often worked behind the scenes to advocate and create opportunities for officers, even if it meant taking a risk to go beyond the business rules. That is quintessential Karl Schultz. And many senior officers and flag officers owe their success to the opportunities he created. And it was in DC that Team Schultz started to expand when twins Lindsay and Kelsey were born. Kelsey is now an optometrist and Lindsay is a science teacher. Admiral Schultz then went back afloat, surprisingly not to Florida, but to Charlevoix, Michigan, to command Acacia, another 180-foot buoy tender like Gentian. This was his second command afloat, and he was responsible for maintaining the constellation of aids to navigation that are critical to vital commerce in the Great Lakes that subsequently is transshipped to the heartland of America, goods and supplies that are really the foundation of American enterprise, American industry, and infrastructure. Now here's a bit of trivia for you. Acacia was the third ship that Admiral Schultz was assigned to that is now decommissioned. That's a measure of a long career when you outlast Coast Guard cutters, sir. Team Schultz expanded yet again when Annalise was born in Charlevoix. She's now an art therapist. Karl and Don's son Eric was also born in Charlevoix. He's now, as you heard, an officer on Dependable. And I know Eric couldn't be here, but Annalise, thanks for being here. Karl then came back to DC in '99 to first work at the State Department to coordinate counter-narcotics support and galvanize interagency consensus on desired national outcomes for the most difficult and complex emerging maritime cases. From there, he was hand-selected to be the Coast Guard liaison to the House of Representatives. He worked on shaping the Coast Guard's posture and congressional support for the recapitalization of the Coast Guard fleet. The foundation he laid, we now know as a national security cutter, fast response cutter, and offshore patrol cutter, as well as the systems that support these incredible assets. He was a House liaison during the attacks of 9/11. He oversaw all Coast Guard communications with the House of Representatives during that tragedy. He developed the legislation that founded the Department of Homeland Security, and he helped broaden the Coast Guard's domestic and international missions. Karl's leadership, vision, and hard work were crucial as we worked to reimagine national and homeland security in that new normal. He informed members of Congress and their staffs on the value of our Coast Guard and what it brings to the nation, and the importance of keeping the Coast Guard whole as a service as we moved into the Department of Homeland Security. Son Zachary was born during Admiral Schultz's time as a House liaison, and Zachary's now a rising senior at Virginia Tech. Go Hokies. Admiral Schultz then went on to command the cutter Venturous in St. Petersburg, where he again executed drug interdiction and maritime migrant missions. In one case, he was able to save 11 Cubans in the Florida Straits from a makeshift 1959 Buick car fashioned into a boat. I offer this because it seems sort of poetic, given his love of muscle cars. The Coast Guard then made him a Harvard man by sending him to a fellowship in Harvard for the National Security Program. After that, he cross-decked into the shore operations community and commanded Sector Miami, where he was the captain of the port and one of our most busiest sector commands. He worked closely with port and industry stakeholders to build better unity of effort, which stands today. He was then handpicked to again come back to DC to take over all of Coast Guard congressional affairs. In addition to the many things that he did to advance the administration's legislative and budget requests for the Coast Guard, he also coordinated communications and strategic messaging with the White House, Department of Homeland Security, and Congress on a myriad of high visibility issues, including 2010 Hurricane Haitian relief and the federal response to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. He was then promoted to flag, and he took over as the Assistant Commandant for Governmental and Public Affairs, where he oversaw the entire portfolio of the Coast Guard's legislative and strategic messaging and engagement efforts, both internally and externally. And he continued to help shape the Coast Guard's recapitalization efforts and other major programs of record. He then assumed command of the 11th Coast Guard District, where he oversaw all Coast Guard operations off California into Mexico and Central America, expanding into the Eastern Pacific. Under his collaborative leadership, the California Coastal Regional Law Enforcement Network was established and became a national model for integrated operations and with regional coordinating mechanisms. And he also worked with partner agencies to increase interagency maritime interdictions fourfold in that region. He went back to Miami in 2014, where he was assigned as the Director of Operations, or the J3, for U.S. Southern Command. It was a unique assignment because it's the only combatant command with a Coast Guard J3. While there, he directed joint service military operations across the Caribbean Basin, Central and South America, and this included helping Caribbean and South American and Central American nations build capacity to defeat drug trafficking organizations and other threats that undermine the safety and security of the Western Hemisphere. He was promoted to Vice Admiral after Southcom, then took command of Atlantic Area, where he was multi-hatted as a director of DHS's Joint Task Force East and also Defense Forces East. There, he led the nation's maritime response to 3 Category 5 and 2 Category 3 storms that spanned 48 consecutive days, as well as threatened 45 million citizens and our nation's strategic petroleum hubs. Coast Guard efforts under his direction saved 11,000 lives and restored the functionality of the maritime transportation system. Coast Guard assistance was also the first on scene to support response and recovery efforts in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. I noted at the outset how Admiral Schultz empowers people, keeps them motivated, and engenders trust. It is his hallmark. His time at Land Area certainly reflects that. He was the Land Area Commander when Hurricane Harvey hit Texas and dumped 60 inches of rain on those affected communities, completely inundating those areas. The rain did not want to let up. There really is no playbook for how to respond to an event like that. Admiral Schultz forward deployed to the region. He met with Coast Guard personnel and he told them simply, just go do good things and I have your back. And of course, after his time at Land Area, he has been our 26th Commandant, which is captured so eloquently by Secretary Mayorkas. I had the good fortune to often work with and for Admiral Schultz over the past many years, including as an operational commander. We who have worked with him have probably heard what I like to call Schultzisms over the years. My favorite is when he is giving advice and counsel, he would often say, "You're the operational commander, I don't want to get into your chili." Sir, we want you in the chili. You make it taste a whole lot better. There's no way that Admiral Schultz could have done all this without the support of his incredible family. Don, thank you for everything. Many may not know that Dawn is an accomplished critical care nurse and a hospital administrator. She holds an RN in nursing, a dual master's in nursing, and an MBA in healthcare administration, and she earned a doctorate in nursing. She persevered and earned her doctorate while moving multiple times with the Coast Guard and starting and raising a family. In fact, she completed her final doctoral dissertation in between the birth of their twin daughters and their 3rd child. Dawn has always been modest. While studying for her doctorate, she would routinely be seen carrying her books to class or library at all hours, day or night, with a 101 Dalmatians-themed backpack borrowed from her daughters. Team Schultz is truly a family of service. Don, there is really no way that we can repay you or thank you for being on this journey with your husband, and words are simply inadequate. I know that many important occasions were missed. The separations during deployments were tough. And those of us who know Karl Schultz well know that once he is in, he is all in. And that often comes at a cost of spending time with you that you and he would have preferred. But please know that you have our enduring gratitude. You're awesome. Thank you. And Admiral Schultz, just some closing thoughts before we make your retirement official. I want you to know that you have enriched the lives of so many people. As Secretary Mayorkas described, you have led with integrity and courage, moral courage and compassion. You made us a better organization, and you inspired our Coast Guard workforce to great success. You have connected people and motivated and encouraged them to achieve their full potential. What you accomplished for the Coast Guard in terms of mission excellence, global presence, improved readiness, and new capabilities is historic. But sir, your greatest legacy is how throughout your career you made a difference, a personal difference in the lives of our workforce and their families. The personal care, concern, interest, and optimism you radiated will endure. We wish you and Don well as you embark on your next journey to North Carolina. We wish you fair winds, calm seas, and a long sunset, sir. Thank you.
Admiral Schultz, please join Admiral Poulin on stage for some presentations. Admiral Poulin will now present Admiral Schultz with a citation from the Commander-in-Chief, President Joseph R. Biden. Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Dear Admiral Schultz, I offer my congratulations on your upcoming retirement from the United States Coast Guard. For more than 39 years, you have answered the call to serve and have ensured American freedoms remain steadfast and true. Your service in the United States Coast Guard is the embodiment of America's patriotism, undaunted and resolute. And your leadership as the 26th Commandant of the United States Coast Guard will leave a lasting legacy of courage and commitment to our nation. Thank you for your noble service and for your commitment to the Coast Guard's motto, Semper Paratus, always ready. You represent the best of who we are as a nation, and we can never fully repay you for the countless sacrifices you and your family made while serving. Your legacy of service has already inspired future generations, including your son, Eric, whom I was honored to commission last year. The First Lady and I wish you and your family all the best in the coming years. As you enter this next chapter of your life, we hope that you will continue to find opportunities to serve our great nation. Give our best to Don and all your children, Kelsey, Lindsay, Annalise, Eric, and Zachary. May God bless you, and may God protect our troops. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Commander-in-Chief. Secretary Mayorkas, please join Admiral Schultz and Admiral Poulin on stage for some additional presentations, please. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Admiral Karl L. Schultz, having been retired after honorable service in the United States Coast Guard, is awarded this testimonial as an acknowledgement of duty faithfully performed during a period of over 39 years. Done at Washington, D.C., this first day of June in the year of our Lord, 2022, signed Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security. Secretary Mayorkas will now make a special presentation to Mrs. Schultz. Mrs. Schultz, will you please join Secretary Mayorkas, Admiral Poulin, and Admiral Schultz on stage. Secretary Mayorkas will now present Mrs. Schultz with the Department of Homeland Security Outstanding Public Service Medal. The Department of Homeland Security Outstanding Public Service Medal is presented to Mrs. Dawn Schultz in recognition of over 33 years of distinguished volunteer service in the United States Coast Guard as a military spouse of the Commandant, Admiral Karl Schultz. Her volunteer work reached beyond the Coast Guard and has benefited thousands of families and employees within the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Transportation. Mrs. Schultz's long-standing devotion culminated over the past 4 years as she voluntarily served as the United States Coast Guard Ombudsman at Large. Showing unwavering commitment to Coast Guard members and their families, she served as the Coast Guard's senior representative and service champion for the First Lady of the United States Joining Forces Interagency Policy Committee, which was established to highlight and advance cross-agency priorities related to service members, veterans, caregivers, and survivors. As a career health care provider and mother of 5, Mrs. Schultz channeled her passion for matters regarding military health care, education for military children, and issues related to professional license reciprocity for military spouses to achieve incredible results. She was instrumental in the Coast Guard's implementation of the 2018 legislation authorizing reimbursement for spouses' qualified relicensing costs following permanent change of station. As a direct result of her efforts, the Coast Guard processed more than 340 claims for over $100,000, providing much-needed relief for working family members. Despite the challenges posed by the global COVID-19 pandemic, Mrs. Schultz conducted more than 100 visits to Coast Guard units and met with thousands of service members, spouses, and families to listen and learn of the challenges they faced. She worked tirelessly and closely with Coast Guard headquarters and field commanders to resolve issues, provide feedback to local ombudsmen, and drive positive change for families. The immense impact she made on Coast Guard members and their families greatly contributed to the readiness of DHS and are in keeping with the great heritage of volunteer service to the nation. Given this first day of June 2022, signed Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security. Secretary Mayorkas will now present Mrs. Schultz with a certificate of appreciation for her service as a military spouse during Admiral Schultz's career. Certificate of appreciation from the United States Coast Guard. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Dawn M. Schultz has earned grateful appreciation for her unselfish, faithful, and devoted service during her husband's Coast Guard career. Her unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible her husband's lasting contribution to the nation. Given this first day of June 2022, signed Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security. Secretary Mayorkas will now recognize Admiral Schultz's children with certificates of appreciation. Would Kelsey, Lindsay, Annalise, and Zachary please join Secretary Mayorkas, Admiral Poulin, and Admiral Schultz on stage. Unfortunately, Admiral Schultz's son, Eric, is underway, right? And is not here today due to his duties in the Coast Guard on Coast Guard Code of Dependable. But his sacrifices are equally recognized in his absence. United States Coast Guard certificates of appreciation awarded to Miss Kelsey Schultz, Miss Lindsay Schultz, Miss Annalise Schultz, and Mr. Zachary Schultz. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard, thank you for the support you provided to your father and for enduring many separations from him while he served our country. While your father's successful career has been challenging and rewarding, it required his selfless devotion to serve others. Over the years, although he would have preferred to be home with you and the rest of the family, he knew that his work for our country was also very important to your future. Your support and understanding has been essential to his success. The United States Coast Guard thanks you for your support. Given this first day of June, in the year of our Lord, 2022, signed Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, Secretary Mayorkas, Admiral Poulin, and Schultz family. Admiral Schultz, please remain center stage for some additional presentations. Now, to honor Admiral Schultz's distinguished service to the nation, the 7th Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard Reserve, retired, George Williamson, will present Admiral Schultz with the United States flag. This flag has flown over all Coast Guard units in which you have served, including the United States Capitol, in honor of your 39 years of faithful service to the United States Coast Guard and our nation. Admiral Schultz, this flag, which you have so proudly served, is the true emblem of our unity, power, and purpose as a nation. Please accept it, protect it, and be ever mindful that the young men and women you have trained, guided, and inspired during your outstanding career will follow in your footsteps and honor this flag with equal pride. Admiral Schultz will now present this flag to his wife in honor of her love and support throughout his career. Admiral Schultz, Master Chief Retired George Williamson, and the Deputy Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard, Charles Bushy, who served alongside you, will now present you with a token of appreciation for your service to the Coast Guard. According to some accounts of naval history and tradition, when a sailor retires and is departing the ship for the last time, it is considered bad luck for the sailor's shadow to touch the shore before he or his shoes do. Thus, the sailor's shipmates would construct a sturdy box handcrafted of the finest materials in which to display mementos of the sailor's accomplishment, thereby symbolically creating a shadow of the sailor. The box contains the sailor's shadow until he or she is safely ashore, at which time the shadow box can be given to the sailor in a presentation ceremony. Ideally, a shadow box serves not only as a reminder of achievements and accomplishment, but also as the summation of one's career. A shadow box should enable a stranger glancing at its contents to gain a substantial understanding of the owner's past service and achievements. Admiral Schultz, please accept this shadow box as a reflection of your outstanding career. Thank you, Master Chiefs. Captain Matthew Bliven, United States Coast Guard retired, will now present Admiral Schultz with a gift on behalf of the Coast Guard Academy class of 1983.
Good afternoon. I've been asked by the class of '83 to make a presentation to Karl in recognition of his long and honorable service. And this is a personal pleasure to me because our families, we've had a long personal relationship together, and Karl presided at my retirement from the Coast Guard when he was the 11th District Commander 9 years ago. So 43 years ago, 326 women and men arrived at the Academy to form the class of 1983. 4 years later, the Academy chose to graduate 172 of those classmates. Most of those who graduated served in the Coast Guard at least a few years, and some served longer. A few slow learners took upwards of 39 years to figure out their exit strategy. Regardless of who served, though, and who graduated and who served for how long, we were all shaped by our struggles and successes at the Academy, and the bonds formed as classmates many years ago remain strong today. So a quick back of the envelope calculation would tell us the class of '83 has contributed at least 2,000 years of uniformed service to the Coast Guard, for better or for worse. So Karl, your retirement today concludes your military service, but the class of '83 service as well. It's certainly fortunate we can end on such a high note. As our most esteemed classmate, we're very proud of you. Not only because of your leadership example, but also the friendship and the genuine interest and concern you've shown to your fellow classmates over the years, marked by your contagious optimism and your trademark cornball sense of humor. So we're presenting you this gift. It's a colorful rendition of the Class of '83 crest as displayed on our Academy rings, along with our class motto, Leaders for Change. You've embraced that motto and represented our class well, Karl, and we congratulate you on a job well done. Let me conclude with a special announcement. When you began your service as Commandant, our class promised to raise $250,000 to help fund the Academy's new Maritime Center of Excellence. I'm pleased to announce today the Class of '83 has attained its goal, and we've chosen to designate $83,083 in your name, Karl, as a principal donor, ensuring the legacy of your leadership is recognized when the Maritime Center opens this fall. Please expect our class's best wishes for smooth sailing in your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Bliven. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present Admiral Karl L. Schultz, United States Coast Guard, retired.
Well, good afternoon. You know that loud noise that went on about 20 minutes ago? That was the on switch for the air conditioner. So my staff would tell you that, you know, I'm the blended COA guy. So now it's nice and cool in here and it's really hot where the food is. Start getting your phones out for some Uber. We're bringing food in here and I'm going to talk for about 2 hours. So saddle up. I'm a bit taken aback. I want to start by congratulating the 27th Commandant, Linda Fagan. What a great day for our Coast Guard. What a great day for our nation. How exciting for the Fagan family. We're just excited. Steve Poulin, 42 years we go back. I won't belabor that. I'm going to try to move quick. My wife whispered to me here. She goes, honey, it's hot in here. Don't be smart. Don't be brilliant. Just get finished. And when I listen to my wife, I usually do okay. But I had the privilege yesterday of putting a 4-star on Steve's shoulder boards with his lovely wife Sherry and brother Scott. And later that day we did the Vice Commandant change from the 32nd, now 27th Commandant, to the 3rd Commandant. And Steve, I am just excited to watch you compliment Linda's leadership. Congratulations to you, my friend. I'm looking for a quick trip report to see what Linda did in her 23 hours off between jobs here, so maybe the family can help me out with that. You know, 4 years ago I mentioned taking the helm here from Admiral Zumkov, and you know, I was 6 years out of Washington, and you say to yourself, you know, 6 years is a long time to be away from the mast, try to figure what's going on. We coined a few guiding principles, and I was trying to think of a way to talk about this unique instrument in national security called the United States Coast Guard. And we came up with this thing called the 3 R's, ready, relevant, responsive. Christine, you help me out here? And that was a good way to talk about the Coast Guard, but be careful. When you throw an idea on the table, everybody gloms onto it. Every single memo that came to me, every program, every gym had the 3 R's emblazoned on the wall, ready, relevant, responsive, in huge print. I would be shopping in the exchanges, the triple R breath mints. You name it, it had a branding. The menus had ready, relevant, responsive food options. I think it really was an interesting way to us to talk about the service, and I think it elevated who we are. And it was about being the most ready Coast Guard possible. And we needed to get after a narrative that talked about the Coast Guard needing more money to be ready. We talked about more relevant to the Department of Homeland Security, as we had been about 16 years into that relationship, and really while co-located and doing well, there was an opportunity to further those ties. It was really about being responsive, and I think we've seen that and heard about that, and I won't belabor that. You know, when you sort of get near the end here, I'm going to tell Linda, fear not. because this ready, relevant, responsive thing I think may be finally behind us. I got a note from one of my chief of staffs. He was shopping in the Honolulu, Hawaii Exchange, and this thing went crazy. There was even wall placards. The ready